Alright guys, so here we are, 1,000 miles review on the Yamaha MT-07, and it is a beautiful looking bike, all black, a couple of red details that the previous owner put there, and there's this blue mount. Doesn't look that great, but um, it is there. Okay, so I want to talk about the pros on this bike first. So the first thing that I love about this bike is the torque. This bike is awesome. Whenever you're taking off, if you just hit the throttle a little bit, you're doing freeway speeds. So whenever you're riding it for fun, if you're getting off of a turn at slow speed, you just hit the throttle and you're doing 60 miles per hour in no time. So it is super fun, and I feel like it's not terrible to control as a beginner. I but I did have some experience prior to this bike. I had a Yamaha R3 and I had a Yamaha Bolt. So keep that in mind. On the Yamaha R3 I put less than 500 miles on it, but on the Yamaha Bolt I put over 1,000 miles on it. So I have a little more than 2,000 miles of experience riding a motorcycle. So that is number one. Number two, the bike is very lightweight and very nimble. So I came from the Yamaha Boat and I sat on this bike. It felt like I was riding a bicycle. It is super easy to maneuver, super easy to throw it around and get around traffic. So if you can do lane filtering on your state, or if you live in California, you can. It makes it so easy to get between traffic. So whenever you get to a light, it's super easy to just go between the cars and get ahead of traffic. So that makes it awesome for commuting in that sense. There are a couple of reasons that I don't like it for commuting, but I'll touch up on that in a second. But that's reason number two that I love this bike. Number three, it will be the suspension. I know a lot of people say it doesn't have the best suspension, but for a beginner rider, for someone that just wants to commute on the bike and ride it for fun every now and then, I feel like the suspension is very adequate. Like it eats the bumps a little bit better. Well, way better actually than the Yamaha Bolt. The Yamaha Bolt was lower to the ground and the suspension was very hard. So that made it kind of tough going over any little bumps. I have no complaints about that. It feels comfortable riding it. Okay, so the other reason that I like this bike is for the sound. It sounds awesome with an aftermarket exhaust. I have the Yoshimura exhaust and it sounds just amazing. So that's the other reason that I love this bike. Alright, another reason that I love this bike is for the seat height. I'm a short rider. I'm 5'6" ish, between 5'6", 5'7", I would say. And I can sit on this bike pretty comfortably. I can't flat foot it, but I can touch both of my feet on the ground, and since it is lightweight, it is very easy for me to put one foot flat and then just put the other one on the pegs. So no issues with that. I thought before I got this bike, I thought it was gonna be hard. I thought I was gonna take some time to get used to that, but it took me no time. It was very easy getting used to that. So if you're anywhere between 5'4" and 5'7", I think it should be fine. You should be able to put one foot flat on the floor and have no issues with this bike. If you're shorter, I don't know. I think it would still be manageable because the bike is very lightweight, very easy to hold. So I think it's doable. Another reason that I love this bike is reliability. I put over 1,000 miles on it, and I mean, I've been riding it almost every day. No issues at all. No issues. The bike just rides awesome. It is a ton of fun. It is very nimble, very lightweight, easy to ride. I thought I was gonna be, I mean, as I mentioned, I thought it would take me much longer to get used to how this bike rides because when I first had the Yamaha R3, uh, the weight felt higher, so it was a bit scary for me. But with this bike, honestly, it feels so balanced that even for a beginner, I feel like it would be an awesome ride and easy to get used to. I would still prefer to get used to learn how to ride on a cruiser just because it's heavier. So whenever you jump on a bike like this after coming from a cruiser, it feels like you're riding a bicycle really because you're used to all that weight. And then you jump on a bike like this and you're like, oh, this is easy. This is so much fun. So I think starting on a cruiser makes it more fun. All right, so let's go to the cons. And honestly, there is not a lot. Couple of cons that I like this bike are also things that a couple of cons, some things that I don't like about this bike are also things that I like about this bike. For example, the weight. The bike is super lightweight, which makes it extremely easy to ride, extremely fun, easy to get around traffic. But the problem is that I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and the winds here get pretty crazy. So, um, I mean, even big trucks get flipped on the bridge because of the winds. So imagine what it does to a bike. So whenever you're on the freeway, if you're doing 70 and then the winds are crazy, you can't get up to 80 because it feels just super scary because the bike is so lightweight. And me being a small person, I weighed about 145. Uh, it doesn't help. So that's one of the issues that I have. It's a pro and con thing. It's the weight. So the other thing that I don't like about this bike is also another thing that I like and don't like, which is a torque. So this bike is extremely torquey. It is super fun when you're riding it for fun, but if you're doing commute every day, you don't always want to be riding the bike hard. So if you're like just trying to take off slow, the bike doesn't want you to do that. It wants you to take off pretty fast. Um, I'll try to record an example and show it to you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about when I talk about this bike not being smooth at low speed. So I'm gonna stop, and if I take off slow, it's like the bike is asking me to rev, and it's always like this. Like you get to, the power is at 5,000 RPM. So anytime that you're taking off, it gets to that power range, and when you get to those RPMs, the bike is asking you to rev because it doesn't like to ride slow. It's extremely fun if you're just riding the bike for fun, but if you're out commuting, it gets tiring. So that's why I say it's not that great for commuting, having so much power at low RPMs. Gonna show you guys how this bike wants to be ridden all the time. So whenever you get to a stop, this is how the bike wants you to take off. And it feels super smooth if you ride it that way. But if you're trying to ride a little bit slower, it feels jerky because the bike is always asking you to rev. So whenever you're trying to take off slow, the bike does not like that. It gets kind of jerky. So you got to get past third gear for the bike to become smoother. And that's pretty much where most of your commute is between first and third gear. Especially if you have a lot of stoplights or a lot of traffic. Uh, like it is fun because you have enough torque to get out of any situation and uh, take off faster than cars. But if you're trying to just ride smooth at those lower speeds, it's not very smooth. All right. Another thing that I don't like about the bike is that it feels a bit cheap. And I mean, that's expected. The bike is a cheaper bike. You can get a bike like this used for $5,000, which is pretty crazy. I mean, what you get for the money is just awesome. But there are a couple of things that feels a bit cheap, and I hear that some other motorcycles on that are a little bit more expensive, they feel more premium, which makes sense. But for example, like the seat, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but it's like there's like that cheap plasticky feel. This thing here too, it kind of like it kind of feels like if you force it, you would just break it. uh, but very minor things. Not It's not that the bike feels cheap when you're riding. It feels like an awesome bike when you're riding it. Uh, so it's not a big con. It's just something to note. But I mean, what would you expect, right? You can't get premium on everything on a cheap bike. It's a budget bike and it's an awesome bike. So I don't think that's a big deal. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, there's not a lot that I have to say about this bike. There's not a lot that I don't like. Most of the things about this bike I like. The only thing is that the only reason that I think I'm not gonna keep this bike, well, that I'm not gonna keep this bike, not that I think, is because I plan on riding it more for commute and also going on some fun long rides. Uh, and I feel like for me, being a small person, the bike being so lightweight, a bike that will be a little bit heavier than this one would actually make more sense because it would feel safer for me on the freeway. That's my assumption, at least. I haven't ridden any other bikes really to say that, but the Yamaha Bolt felt more safe, more stable on the freeway whenever it's windy. Whenever it's not windy, this bike does fine on the freeway. So if you don't live in a windy area like I do, you would be just fine. It's not a big deal. Uh, but that's one of the reasons that I'm considering the CB650R as my next bike. I've always wanted an MT-09. You guys know if you have seen my previous videos, I have always wanted an MT-09. But the thing is that the MT-09 is not much heavier than this bike. It's going to be almost the same weight, just more power. So I feel I'm just afraid that I'll get that bike. And then whenever I get on the freeway, me being lightweight, the bike being lightweight, I'm not going to feel very stable. So that's one of the reasons that I'm kind of giving up on the MT-09 and thinking about getting the CB, because the CB is an inline four, supposed to be smoother at lower speeds. So whenever I want to have fun on the bike, I can still hit the throttle and have some fun, but I can still have smoother lower gears that I can commute to work, have that little extra weight to feel more stable on the freeway. And but I mean, I have also never ridden a CB650R, so that's my assumption, and also from the things that I've seen on reviews. So that's how I see that bike would be, and how I feel that bike would be. I mean, if you have experience with that bike, let me know if I have the correct expectations for that bike. All right, but overall, this bike is extremely fun, super awesome for the price that you pay for this bike. If you buy used, you can get as I mentioned, you can get an awesome bike for 5,000 to 6,500. Um, Pretty much new. I paid 6,500 for mine. If you guys are wondering, it's a 2020, and it came with the Yoshimura exhaust, the aftermarket brake levers, and the windscreen, and just a complete package. It had like the frame sliders, everything installed for 6,500, and the bike only had 3,100 miles on it, 4,100 miles on it actually. So I mean, can't really beat it. The CB 650R is a little bit more expensive, but I hear that it also feels a little bit more premium overall. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm gonna go for a little ride now on the little twisties that I use to take my Yamaha boat on to learn. Uh, it's not the most amazing twisties just because there are a lot of little bumps, and there's a train. So there are a lot of little bumps on this road, uh, but it's very good to learn how to shift gears, how to slow down for turns, and how to take the bike on slow speed turns. So I'll make a little video of that. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. I'll leave it with this video at the end. And leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you have experience with the CB 650R, let me know if I have the correct expectations. And peace. Very bumpy. This is why I say this is a slow speed twisties. It gets very bumpy, very bumpy on the turns. You don't want to go fast here. It does not feel safe. And there's the fun factor on the bike. Barely hit the gas, the throttle. I'm used to saying hit the gas, but barely hit the throttle, and you're going fast. But you see, like, the video probably can't tell because of the stabilization, but it is very bumpy. A lot of little cracks on the road and dips and bumps. It's just like there. Does not feel very safe. So I take it very slow here. It's still fun to learn how to do my slow turns. We gotta be careful. Look at this dip here. Whoa. Right on a turn. So if you're coming up to that turn pretty quick, that's dangerous. Another bump. So this is why you never see me riding super crazy on this little twisties here. And kind of one of the reasons that I stopped coming here every week too, because I used to come here every week on the Yamaha boat, which was awesome for me to learn, but not that awesome for me to enjoy after I had more experience and I wanted to ride a little bit faster. I've been misshifting on this bike a lot too. I don't know, maybe it's me just getting too excited and not paying attention, not shifting correctly. It probably is. So like here I was gonna downshift, but I failed to downshift, so I had to downshift and then but as you guys can see, it has a lot of power low end. So slow speeds are very fun. Whenever you're getting off of a turn, you just hit the throttle. Catch up to speed super quick. Pretty much impossible to go fast here. There's so many bumps. It's just super sketchy. There's that power that I'm talking about. So I'm gonna try to show you guys the torque that feels good. So whenever you take off, you gotta take off pretty quick. You don't want to take off slow. And passing power, like I'm on third gear doing 60 miles. If I hit the gas, here I'm doing 80 miles in no time. And it still has plenty of torque. So I don't get how some people can say that this bike doesn't have enough power. It has more than enough power. Unless you're, I guess, if you're doing track days or whatever, maybe for some people it might feel like it doesn't have enough power. But it does. So lack of power is not the reason that I don't want to keep this bike, that's for sure. As you guys can see, whenever it's not too windy, the bike ride's phenomenal. It's just extremely fun. So, problem that I have is just when it's windy. That's I literally only have two reasons that are legit that does not make me want to keep this bike for a long time. And one of the reasons is because of the area that I live that's too windy. And the other reason is because I plan on commuting on the bike and it's not very smooth at slow speeds. That isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just that the bike doesn't like to be ridden that way. It wants to be ridden hard. And I'm also getting old, I guess. I even started considering some adventure bikes. But the thing is that those are too heavy for me to commute. I don't want to deal with the weight. But if the Yamaha Tracer 700 was available in the US, that would probably be a bike I would consider. I don't like how the other 700cc's adventure bikes look. But the Tracer looks pretty good. There's also another one, the CF Moto Adventura 650. That bike looks pretty cool. I was actually thinking about going to the dealer today to take a look at one. They're selling for $5,500, which is super cheap. But I don't want to get into that right now. I'll probably save with something a little bit more sporty for now. But in the future, I'll probably get a 650 adventure bike because I can do everything on it. I can commute on the bike, and whenever I want to go on long day rides with friends, that bike will be comfortable. But that's something for the future. I would still love to test ride it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful night, whatever time it is that you're watching this video. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.